Passover was not long after we arrived, because we arrived in March and Passover was in April. I didn't speak a word of English. We had no way of communicating. Yiddish started coming back to me because the people in Australia who were helpful to my family spoke with my family, my parents, in Yiddish. So, you know, it's your primary language. Even though you haven't used it for years, you suddenly hear it again. So I was picking it up very quickly, and I was picking up a word here or there in English. But the most joyful day was preparing for a Passover Seder. And I remember a woman who came in to help was someone my mother knew from Cobrin who had come before the war. And she and my mother sort of bonded through that. And setting up the Passover table was extraordinary. It represented unity. It represented family. It represented one big table where one big family, and the family really being the refugees. We were not really a family, but we were bonded through our experience as refugees. And so we sat at this table, and I helped during the day to put decorations on the sconces on the wall. And the women who were helping were like any organization, members of a synagogue or Hadassah, you know, that kind of thing. So the women who came to donate their services were very different to the women I knew. They were well-dressed, they were elegant, they were well-spoken, and they were volunteers, you know. And I was so excited. I was nearly 9 years old, and I said, can I, you know, help? Body language communicates incredibly. So they brought pots of green fern, and they said, we'll put those on the tables, you know. And I'm sort of doing it mostly in Yiddish by now, you know. And I said, what about if we put it on the sconces on the wall? Because I thought that would make the room look beautiful. Forget about the table. They thought, good, let her do it. They gave me a wooden chair to step on so I could reach the sconce, and I plucked these green ferns from the pots and wound them through the sconces. And I remember for years after that thinking, if I ever have a Passover Seder, it's going to have one table, it's going to be big, it's going to have a U shape so that it's always connected, and we're going to have beautiful white and green, everything, just white and green. You know, I remember thinking that. And that's kind of what we've had. We've had flowers, of course, but Passover has become one of the greatest holidays for our family. Our children, our grandchildren, they love it. They look forward to it. So that was the beginning. That was the planting of the seed, my first Passover Seder. And it was sad in a way as I think back, because they were broken families. There were two brothers, 17 and 19 years old, who were orphans. They'd lost their entire family. There were husbands who'd lost their wives and children. There were wives who'd lost everybody. I mean, it was a broken life coming together in the hope of a new life.